What's a prophet? Well, a prophet is someone who speaks or who spoke the words God gave to him. Exactly those words, precisely those words, as you can see in this passage. Not their own ideas, not their own special insights, but the words God gave him, like Moses. And here God spoke to Moses and gave him the promise of a future prophet who would be like him. Verses 15 and 18 in particular. Verse 15, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him. Well, verse 18, on page 197, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their fellow Israelites, and I will put my words in his mouth. He will tell them everything I command him. A prophet who would be like Moses, and Moses was regarded as an outstanding prophet. A prophet who would be an Israelite, and a prophet who would perfectly communicate all of God's words, would not speak any lie or falsehood, but only what God gave him. And like a true prophet, as we see from the end of this passage that Diver read, all his predictions would come true. Everything that he said would happen, would happen. This was the prophet that was promised to Moses 1,500 years before Jesus. Now, some of you may know, and some of you particularly with Muslim friends, you may have heard them say something like this. This is a prophecy or a prediction or a promise of the Prophet Muhammad, the one they call the Prophet Muhammad. It's a very popular idea in Islam that this is a prediction or a prophecy or a promise of Muhammad and not of Jesus. But Muhammad couldn't be the prophet promised here. First off, he wasn't an Israelite. Verses 15 and 18 both make it clear that this prophet, this special prophet, would come from among fellow Israelites, would be an Israelite. Secondly, Muhammad did not really make any predictions. At least no specific, concrete predictions. And a prophet was someone who made predictions that could be proved or disproved. Did they come true or didn't they? That was the measure of a true prophet. Muhammad never really made any specific predictions. Nor did he do, like Moses, any miracles or signs and wonders. In fact, Muhammad admitted that he could not do them. So for those reasons, at least, there are perhaps more, this could not be about him. This is not the promise of Muhammad. Jesus, on the other hand, was most definitely an Israelite, born in Bethlehem, of Jewish parents, raised in Nazareth. And he referred to himself as a prophet, or accepted that he was a prophet, and the people spoke of him as the prophet, by which they meant this particular promised prophet. He did not correct them when they said that. And right after his death and resurrection, he was recognized by believers like Peter and the apostles as this particular prophet. Here's some references. Just let me throw them at you fairly quickly to show you how this is so. There's the Deuteronomy reference, Deuteronomy 18, verse 18, we're looking at, and we're saying this is the promise of Jesus. Jesus himself, in Mark 6, verse, for example, accepted that he was a prophet. A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, and in his own home. So that implies, doesn't it, that he accepted that he was a prophet. In John 5, verse 46, he said, if you believe Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me. For example, in Deuteronomy 18. In John 6, verse 14, after the people saw the sign Jesus performed, the miracle, they began to say, surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world. And there they're referring to Deuteronomy 18. This is the prophet, promised years before, centuries before, by Moses. And the people recognized that this was the prophet. Again, John 7, verse 40, on hearing his words, some of the people said, surely this man is the prophet. Jesus did not correct that. He accepted that. He received that. And as I said, Peter and the apostles saw Jesus as this prophet, this promised prophet. As Peter was preaching in Acts 3:22, he said, Moses, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own people. You must listen to everything he tells you. That's a clear reference, isn't it, to Deuteronomy chapter 18. And one more reference from John chapter 12, the words of Jesus himself. Jesus speaks of himself in his prophetic role, in his role as a prophet. This is what a prophet did. This is the prophet. I did not speak on my own, he said, but the Father who sent me commanded me to say all that I have spoken. I know that his command leads to eternal life. So whatever I say is just what he told me to say. That's pure prophet right there. And it's very similar, isn't it, to the words we find in Deuteronomy 18.